Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is D Train. I was looking through my YouTube feed, and I hadn't looked at Joey Diaz in a good minute. So I said, let me check in. And it was one, this was almost like if you didn't see the name of a person who they're interviewing, sometimes you tend to not watch, or that's what I do, just because you got so many things to do. Anyway, but I'm glad I stopped in and I watched this episode. It's episode number 556. Excuse me. And so, I kind of went into this particular episode because I thought what I thought was going to happen is I thought that I was going to sit and listen for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I would go do uh, um, another podcast, right? That's what I thought was going to happen. And so I started listening to this story that he's telling. And one thing that you when you hear enough storytellers, right? You recognize the good ones, bad ones, mediocre, upper level. This dude right here, man, Joey Diaz, is one hell of a storyteller, and I think that's probably one of the reasons he's so good at being a comedian, is because he can tell a good story, and he's got great jokes, too. He's a writer. He writes. He studies, and that's one of the things that he mentioned in this podcast. It was like a clinic. I should name this the clinic. He should name that number 556. He should rename it the clinic. Okay, so first off, he goes into the story about how somebody kind of loaned him some money, and because of being on cocaine, he kind of popped off, kind of cleaned up, start making some more money, getting more, conscious of, things going on. And it's one of those things that crept up and just kind of, you wonder if you can call it regrets, but if some things don't happen, then other things don't happen. You know what I'm saying? So things happen for a reason. And, he told the story, and it had a pretty good, it was more of a story of redemption of your soul, And I think the reason he was telling these different stories is because Syatt sounds like he's going through some things, Starts talking about personal stories like stress, and how at one time he was so healthy working out and stuff, but the stress had him shitting blood at the end of his shits. Now, he said he took like 3 shits a day, man. Look, dude, I take that. I do that every day. I do that every day, bro. At least, hell. But don't without the sad ending there. But yeah, kind of threw myself off with the 3 shits. It's like, didn't see that one coming. And so he starts talking about, he says, look, you need to stop thinking. I think the quote was something to the order of thinking is the worst thing you can do. And he goes into his process on how he gets up in the morning and he writes things down. And I think I'm going to incorporate that because, he's talking about going to bed and waking up early. I do the same thing. That's why I'm doing this podcast at like 4:53 in the morning. Your mind just don't stop. And I do write stuff down, but it's all over the place. I need to, tidy that up, tighten that up. Then he goes into relationships. He throws in this Lenny Bruce one-man play, I believe, that he went and saw because he's a big Lenny Bruce fan. And I did some research on Lenny Bruce a while back. I wish I was doing YouTube videos back then. Might have to dig that up, but yeah, Lenny Bruce was an interesting character, man. He went through some legal issues because of his comedy, which kind of broke through a lot of issues that probably, if you think about it, if he didn't go through that at that time back then, a lot of comedy that you see out here today probably would have been set back a little bit farther. Like if you look at these other countries, just go to any other country, right? The comedy is different. And now that I think about it, I wonder if it's because of the freedom of speech that you're allowed to have. So if you can't talk about it on the comedy stage, man, it's not too good. Anyway, so then Lee Syatt talks about having kids. Look, dude, Lee, I don't know if anybody's really ready to have that first kid. You ready, you make preparations because it's coming. It ain't like, it ain't happening. Unless something, goes wrong. But yeah, so yeah, you'll figure it out. Like, look, like I was listening to your situation. And I was thinking about it, I was like, wow, man, I remember being kind of in that situation where I was done with women. I was done. It was over just for right now. I got to focus on work. I got to focus on making some money. And I need a watch. And I need to look professional. I need to go do this and that. So I went to buy a watch. And 2.5 years later, I married my watch saleswoman. Like, how does that happen? You know what I'm saying? So you never know. So listen to your boy Joey, man. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, what did he say? Oh, yeah. He said nobody is wasted time. Nobody is wasted time. Everybody likes to bang on old relationships, the shit that went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Things that didn't go right. But it's all experience. Some of it had to happen. Some of it didn't. Hey, it happened. All you can really do is, just keep on moving. That's all you can really do. Just keep on moving. Do what he said. Just go out a couple nights a week with your homeboys. Man, I remember when I was in my 20s, dude. Yeah, this was like a couple years before I met my wife. I'd go out with my homeboys and everything and, go through different things with women. It made it easier to go through. So yeah, just listen to homeboy, Papa, Uncle Diaz, Uncle Joey. Anyway, Go check that out. Go check that out, man. It's a good look. Like I said, when I went in, I was gonna listen for 20 minutes. I went into it almost scientifically. As a matter of fact, I went to it scientifically because I knew he was a good storyteller. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this first story. I'm gonna listen to how it unfolds. And he did not disappoint again. He just like slammed you with the boom right at the end. Pow. He's just great. He's just great. Started out listening for like 20, 22. That first story was like 22, 23 minutes. Not to scare anybody off, but you start listening, you ain't gonna stop, right? You wind up listening for an hour and 38 minutes. So go check it out. Anyway, this is D-Train. This is definitely not any bunk. Go check that out. I got some bunk for y'all later, though, probably, I'm sure, man. This news stuff is like heating up. But anyway, peace out. Talk to y'all later.